Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Radeon RX 6600 in GTA 5 enhanced with ray tracing. This one is the Afox model of the card. I'm running it with the latest AMD drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups GPU Z, and over on the left I'm pairing it with the i5-12600KF CPU, overclocked to 5.1 GHz and 32 GB of RAM, 6000 MHz. It's DDR5. Let's get into it, shall we? And let's go over the settings first. I am starting at the 1080p resolution. We're also going to test 1440p and 4K, yeah. And I'm using the maximum RT settings right now. This is the preset, so this is actually disabled. But we got the high resolution ray trace reflections enabled in this preset, which is very nice to improve the quality of the reflections, which was very bad previously, actually. And right now we're utilizing FSR 3 native AA as well as the anti-aliasing, and I saw a 2 FPS difference comparing this to TAA, so I think it's worth having that extra sharpness instead of the blurriness of TAA, just for 2 FPS trade-off. And as you can see here, it's a pretty rough experience, guys. It's in the 30s, but the 3050 yesterday was also in the 30s, so not too terrible. Oh, dropping into the 20s already. I mean, the 3050 also did drop into the 20s, so it's kind of expected, but at first glance, this is actually performing a little bit slower than that RTX 3050 that I tested yesterday. That's because the RX 6000 series weren't as good as the NVIDIA GPUs from the 3000 series at ray tracing. My gosh, are you serious? AMD is getting mad at me and making me crash. Anyway, let's keep on going. Those reflections are looking pretty good, but I've noticed that they don't look as good as the ray trace reflections from the RTX 3050, and that's because even though all of the detail is still there, this is slightly noisier because of FSR, guys. So you either have it blurrier, and the ray trace reflections will also be blurrier, of course, with TAA, or sharper but slightly noisier. Still, it looks a lot better than the previous implementation of the ray traced reflections in the previous version of the game, so this is still a win in my book. Now let's keep on going here. 40s, 38 FPS average, not too bad, 27.1% lows there. Also, these AMD GPUs from the 6000 series underreport their power utilization, so it says 100 watts there, but it's actually consuming 120 watts. So it's definitely a decent card to buy in the used market, for example. They sell for around like 100, 120 bucks, and I think they're totally worth it for that price. But of course, ray tracing, yeah, it's very, very complicated to do on a 6600. It will struggle in most titles with RT, and this is no exception. We get to Jack's Hill, it drops into the 20s. Jack, where are you, buddy? Jack, there he is. Hello, Jack, how's it going? Ah, beautiful. Actually, it could be beautiful. With DLAA yesterday, with the RTX 3050, it was quite a bit sharper and less noisy. Over here with a lot of vegetation, I'm seeing the disadvantage of using FSR native AA with the... It's like an over-sharpened, pixelated look sometimes. Goodbye, Bob! Come on, goodbye, Bob! There we go, good stuff. Dropping to 22 frames per second near Bob's bushes. Yeah, it's very, very intensive, guys, with ray tracing. It's still playable, though, but this is even without the puddles everywhere and so on, which is even more intensive. So these are not adequate settings for the 6600 or the 3050 for that matter. But with the 3050, we had DLSS. I set it to quality DLSS, and it was above 30 FPS all of the time, while looking pretty good because it's DLSS 4 now in this title. Whereas FSR 3 looks really blurry, even though the FPS are very nice, actually. Wait a second, let me turtle this up. Yes, there we go, car is fixed now. Start counting our FPS as well. Yeah, even though the FPS are higher than what we got with the 3050 and DLSS 4, and even though this is a lot smoother, actually, like feeling 60 FPS after feeling 30 FPS and lower sometimes, feels amazing. Wow, okay. But the real issue is FSR 3 just doesn't look good, guys, okay? Compared to like TAA, if you didn't play with FSR 3 native AA first. You know, if you just select TAA, native resolution, 1080p, this is not too bad. It's a little bit more shimmery, hijack again. It's also a little bit more pixelated in grassy areas especially, but in terms of sharpness, it's very similar. Bob is here again. Come on. Goodbye, Bob, and friend of Bob. All right, there we go. But yeah, I don't think this is blurrier than TAA at native 1080p resolution, honestly. It's just... It adds blur to the image using quality FSR, of course, instead of native. And it also adds pixelation. So it doesn't look great, but at least it improves our FPS by a lot. I wish FSR 4 was a thing on these old GPUs as well, because they deserve it, right? We get DLSS even on the 2000 series GPUs and DLSS 4 as well. And we don't have FSR 4 even on the 7000 series. Also, let's make it rain, shall we? Alright, here we go, guys. This is it. It's way more intensive while it's raining as well. Turtle the car, please. There we go. Start counting our FPS. So instead of getting like 60s most of the time with the reflections from the puddles and the rain at the same time, it gets really demanding. And yeah, it's a little bit slower, maybe like 5-10 FPS at most slower than what we saw before. Those reflections on the roads of our own car look pretty great, actually. It doesn't have a lot of ghosting, by the way. This is FSR quality, and although there is a bit of ghosting, especially on the far sides of the car, you know, the left and right near the tires, you can actually see a little bit of ghosting there. It's very hard to notice, and I think maybe YouTube compression is gonna wreck that and you won't be able to notice it. But with DLSS 4 on the RTX 3050 yesterday on quality at 1080p, the license plate was actually duplicated. So, in terms of ghosting, somehow this implementation of FSR in this game is better. Also, the reflections here, they are more emphasized since the car is wet, of course. Is Jack here? Jack is still waiting for us. Beautiful, even while it's raining. See how much he loves us, my friends? That's crazy, right? Love of Jack is the love of a mother. Sort of, I guess. Anyway, Bob definitely doesn't love us because he's not here anymore. But yeah, guys, previously, if you utilized quality FSR with 1080p resolution and ray tracing in this game, the reflections would look a heck of a lot worse than these. And these actually look usable still. This update changes everything here. It makes upscalers usable in this new version of Enhanced Edition, whereas previously, if you wanted ray tracing plus the upscalers, it would look really terrible. So, very welcomed addition here with the high-resolution ray tracing. 56 FPS average, 36, 1% low is what we got here. Oh boy, that's a pretty terrible jump there. I'm not even going to touch the keyboard. Let's see if it explodes. It seems like it is going to explode. No, not really. Okay, it landed perfectly. Wow, no. How did it fail? It was a perfect jump. It works really well. It looks really good as well. It's just that sharpness is lacking and the noise is a bit too much. So let's go ahead and try it without FSR 3 on quality. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use the native AA stuff again, and let's do very high RT settings, but of course this disables high resolution ray traced reflections and I want those enabled, so let's enable that. I'm gonna restart the game, make it rain as well, and yeah, I'll be back soon. Okay, here we have it, guys. I made it rain, and now we got puddles everywhere, which is very nice, of course, and more reflections on the car, although the car isn't wet. So maybe the same reflections on the car. Anyway, let's start counting our FPS. It seems like we gained about 10 to 15 frames per second compared to before. So this is a much more stable experience, indeed. Look at that. You can see the NPCs being reflected. The NPC over there crossing the street on the left, 2 of them. It's pretty crazy. Like, these reflections are really high quality now. That's amazing. And with the very high settings, very high RT settings, that's it, you can have those beautiful reflections and really good FPS as well. It's hitting 60 FPS sometimes. That's a bit unexpected, actually. So it's nice. It's a good performance for the RX 6600, in my opinion, since this is, again, not the best GPU for ray tracing whatsoever, even though it's capable of it. This was basically the first generation that AMD had ray tracing running on their cards. You know, the 5000 series doesn't have ray tracing support, and basically you can't really expect that much from a first ray tracing generation of cards from AMD. Obviously, like the 20 series, which was the first from NVIDIA, was also not amazing at ray tracing. But yeah, even with that shortcoming, this is still handling it like a champ, 30 plus FPS all of the time. And where's Jack? There he is. Hello, buddy. How's it going? A little bit noisy here once again because of that FSR native AA, but it looks good. It looks really good, actually. And it plays very well at the same time. 32 FPS minimum there. There's Bob. Goodbye, Bob, and friend of Bob again. Beautiful stuff. We're killing Bob every single time we come here this time around, unless it's raining, of course. Also, speaking of raining, let's check it out. Okay, here we have it. It's now raining, getting down to 50 FPS, 40s at times. This weather is so intensive, guys. Damn. Okay, puddles everywhere. Let's go uphill. 33, 32 now. Over in this area, where previously it dropped to 35. Oh my god, I need to fix the car again. There we go. Alright. Climb uphill, Michael. Let's go. We can do this. No. Actually, yeah, I don't think he can do this. Let's go! Dude, no! It's going backwards! Oh my god. This looks so good, by the way, with the greenery and the red car. Okay, here we go. 31, 30, 29. So it drops 1 FPS from 30 FPS. That's not too bad. You can overclock the card. Actually, your card is probably slightly faster than this one because this is the Afox model of the 6600. So it's one of the slowest versions. It's also stock speed, so... yeah, any factory overclocked version will be getting like 2 or 3 more FPS, which is enough to put it at 60 plus 100% of the time. No, 30 plus. Not 60. I wish it was 60 plus 100% of the time. But what if you don't care about the softer look and the more noisy look of quality FSR 3? Let's have it here. 1080p with quality FSR. Getting 70-ish frames per second. Oh my god, this car sucks. This car, oh my, it slippers so much during this weather. Okay. Make it rain. Let's make it stop raining, actually. And you gotta actually use the make it rain thingy to stop raining. Yes, very weird. Okay, this car is definitely a lot better. Let's go. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your car. Anyway, let's keep on going here. Tons of puddles around us. Not a problem. 70 plus FPS so far. Didn't even drop into the 60s yet, I believe. At least I didn't see it when it happened, if it did. Yeah, it's just a buttery smooth experience at the moment, guys. That car over there, the orange one, might be great for a thumbnail. Wait a second. Hello there. Oh, yes. It's been a while since I've seen one of these. Okay, let's go to Bob's trail. Yes, goodbye, Bob, and goodbye, friend of Bob. Both of them are dead now. Good stuff. And now it's dropping into the 50s, actually, but, I mean, it will only drop into the 50s in these bushy scenarios. So just avoid bushes, and it's going to be a buttery smooth experience. And honestly, even if you don't avoid bushes... as long as you don't live inside bushes here in GTA 5, you're gonna be absolutely fine. It's gonna be 60 plus FPS pretty much at all times outside of these areas. And it's not a drop to 58 or 55 FPS that's gonna ruin your experience, honestly. I would be totally fine with this. Heck, I would be totally fine with the previous experience with native AA, honestly. 30 to 50 or 30 to 60 FPS most of the time. It's alright. It's alright, it's nothing amazing, right? But if you want the best graphics, it's still possible. Anyway, let's stop it there. And let's try something else, right? Maybe the high RT settings, which disable a lot of these settings. Global illumination, ambient occlusion. This makes a huge difference, guys. All right, I'm going to go back to native AA. But yeah, I tested these settings yesterday on the RTX 3050. I was really not impressed. This is only good if you want to keep that ray tracing enabled and have 60 FPS plus all of the time at native resolution. But you're missing out on a lot of stuff, and the game just feels a little bit more bland. Let's restart to fully apply the settings. Oh, look at that, guys. We're getting 69 FPS right at the beginning. How crazy is that? And I made it rain to make it more intensive right away, because at the start I was seeing 80 FPS and it dropped to 69 FPS there in that scenario in Michael's house. So once again, quite a bit more intensive here with the rainy effects. Anyway, let's keep on going here. We're getting 80s now. This is not too bad, but once again, this is starting to look a lot closer to the legacy version of the game, since we disabled global illumination, ray tracing, as well as, oh my, we disabled all of these people, actually. That's what we disabled. Turtle, please, there we go. Car was broken already. But yeah, the global illumination makes a huge difference here in GTA Enhanced, of course, as does the ambient occlusion, ray traced ambient occlusion, and both of those are now disabled, so it doesn't look as good. However, those reflections are still enabled, they're still accurate reflections, and if you want that, well, with the high ray tracing settings, just like with the RTX 3050 yesterday. Hello, Jack. You need a 10 right now. Okay, you're much whiter for some reason. Okay, let's go. Come on. Oh boy. Okay, this is not the way I wanted to come into the Bob's bushes. That's so weird to say. Anyway, let's go. 65 FPS there. Yeah, high ray tracing settings. Goodbye, Bob. High ray tracing settings will give you those 60 plus FPS at native resolution. So no need to utilize FSR now and make it look worse, or actually FSR quality. We're still using FSR, but it's native resolution. And yeah, it works really well. It looks really good. And it feels like I'm testing the 3050 again, honestly. It's a little bit slower than the 3050 when it comes to the ray tracing, especially at higher presets, but the experience is very similar anyways. So with that said, guys, let's bump it up to 1440p. I'll need to change the monitors for that, I forgot. Let's also make it very high ray tracing preset again. Oh boy! Okay, so this is not good. This is not good. Alright, so I see the power utilization of this GPU is a little bit lower than it should be. So that means that it ran out of VRAM slightly, I guess, and it swapped some things into the RAM, and now this is the end result, guys. 10 to 15 FPS? You gotta be kidding me. The 3050 yesterday was getting 25, if I'm not mistaken, 25 to 30 using these settings. And they both have 8 gigabytes of VRAM, so this is super surprising. I was not expecting that. Damn. Usually what happens is the AMD GPUs with the same VRAM amount and so on, they tend to consume a little bit more VRAM than the NVIDIA counterparts, and I think that might be what's going on right now. So, terrible experience here. Let's see if quality FSR fixes that. This is not a good start for 1440p with this GPU. Damn, I really did not see this coming, guys. Okay, so, no, this is still terrible. Oh no, it's not even enough for 30 FPS. So I guess if you want 1440p with ray tracing on this GPU, you will need to utilize high ray tracing settings, which, again, aren't the greatest. It disables a lot of ray tracing features, and I don't really like it too much. Ah, what a shame, guys. Alright, anyways, high ray tracing. Let's restart the game. Okay, that's much better. Holy crap. This is with quality FSR still, though, so we'll need to disable that, but now we got high RT. Ooh, we also need to enable this. Hopefully it's still going to be fine. Yeah, it's still fine. Alright. Quite a hit to performance, around like 5 FPS or so, but Yeah, it's definitely worth it once again if you want to use ray tracing. Here it is. Let's do native AA once again and the high ray tracing settings. And at native 1440p resolution, we're getting 60s and 50s. That's not too bad. That means that while driving fast through the city in less intensive scenarios, it's gonna hit like 60 FPS. But yeah, the biggest issue that I have with this is the lack of ambient occlusion or ray traced ambient occlusion, and the global illumination it's basically the same as the legacy version now on those couple of settings there. So yeah, you do gain a lot of good quality and nice visual reflections, you know, but it's at a big cost. But hey, if you are at 1440p resolution and you want that native 1440p resolution gaming, this is what's needed. Because you saw very high ray tracing settings weren't really gonna happen with this. Unless you lowered down the texture quality, but that's probably the most important setting actually, so keep it on maximum please. But hey, at least you gain those beautiful reflections, right? Which wasn't possible before this update, for sure. Oh my god, it's slippery already. What the hell? And this is native 1440p as well, with ray tracing. Hi Jack, how you going buddy? Yeah, I love you too. So it isn't amazing guys, but it's definitely very playable. And it's just not super smooth. Goodbye, Bob, again. Oh, beautiful. Let's keep on going here, 40s. Yeah, it only drops to like, what, 42, 40 maybe on minimum. 37% lows there, but I don't think it dropped that far. So it's not bad. It's not a bad experience whatsoever. However, it's not really raining. Let's make it rain. Yeah, there we go. We have puddles now, and we have more intensive scenarios now. So getting down into the 40s instead of 50s, it lowers things down by like 5 FPS, I guess. So maybe it's gonna drop to like 35 frames per second minimum now using these settings. And with this weather here, extra sunny with a lot of puddles. Or maybe not, because we're not even seeing puddles in this area now, right? Yeah. So in bushy areas, there aren't going to be puddles. So this shouldn't really drop too much. And indeed it doesn't, only to like 38 FPS. So it's still very stable. But yeah, it is definitely playable like this. I would not utilize the FSR here, even at 1440p resolution, because it looks terrible. Like, once again, this is a higher resolution, much higher resolution than 1080p. But I can still see a huge drop-off in quality and sharpness and a much more noisy image right now than previously. Obviously, again, this is probably because I'm using a 27-inch monitor here, 1440p now. Actually, it's 4K, and I got it down to 1440p at the moment. But in a native 1440p monitor, it's going to be super sharp at native resolution, and it's going to be super blurry and noisy at lower than that with FSR, unfortunately. There's that. I don't really see much of a use of FSR here unless you can't really notice the difference or you're fine with a blurrier picture. To me, though, this needs to improve a lot, and I wish AMD made an update to FSR 3 once again. But let's stop it there, guys. This is going to be a pretty good experience, of course. Let's just see it inside of a bush here. Yeah, over here it drops into the 60s. We're not killing Bob. Are we? Yes, we are killing Bob. We're killing Bob. Let's go. Bob is dead again, guys, and his friend. And over here, yeah, it's not really dropping from 60 FPS anymore. So again, it's good that we have this option, but to me, I would just play the legacy version. Finally, 3840 by 2160 using the high ray tracing settings and FSR native AA. This is on the red now, so it means that we're running out of VRAM probably in just a little bit. It's actually not running out of VRAM at the moment. It's interesting to see this because the very high ray tracing settings at 1440p were running out of VRAM, yet the high ray tracing settings at the much higher resolution of 4K isn't, or at least the GPU isn't slowing down when running out of VRAM right now. It's still using 100 watts of power there. The RAM usage is a lot higher though than what it was before, even at 1440p when we ran out of VRAM. So don't know what's up there, but yeah, this is really sharp right now. It's not that playable because it drops into the 20s and low 20s as well, and this isn't even while raining or while inside of bushes. So obviously not something that you should utilize. It will definitely drop into like the teens in Bob's bushes. However, it's good for thumbnails, I guess, or screenshots. Well, let's check it out with quality FSR now. Hopefully that will put us above 30, and it does, but I guess inside of Bob's bushes it's still going to drop a little bit. We need to turtle the car again. Here we go, 30s. Yeah, this is enough to put it above 30 FPS most of the time. So if you want ray trace reflections and not ray traced everything else, well, at least not the two most important ray tracing features. There's Bob again, god damn it. You can play with the enhanced edition here, and it's going to perform well on like a 4K TV. With a controller, you can't really feel many slowdowns or as much the slowdowns. So, yeah, it's fine. It's fine, but it's not great and it's not amazing. And at least, though, FSR on quality does look good at 4K resolution. So, finally, we found a resolution high enough to use FSR 3 quality properly without much shimmering and noise. I think that's it, right? Maybe we should try it with performance FSR 3, but it's probably gonna suck. First of all, it doesn't even reach 60 FPS. It's in the 40s and 50s. So, not really worth utilizing once again. Better off playing the legacy version, dropping down a few settings, and that's it. But in terms of visual fidelity, it's not too bad. Honestly, I thought it was going to be worse. This is 1080p upscaled to 4K at the moment. Let's see Jack one more time. Hello, Jack. Buddy, how are you going? Yeah, as I said, I can't really see much noise. There is definitely some, of course, compared to quality FSR and native AA. But it's more soft than noisy at the moment at 4K resolution. I think the internal resolution is still high enough to provide a noisy-less experience. Noiseless. Obviously, it's noiseless. It's not noisy-less. Anyway, you get the idea, right? It's enough to provide a noiseless experience, visually speaking, and the reflections still look good, of course, because of those high-resolution ray trace reflections. And the FPS are okay. It's playable now. That said, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye. Oh boy.